Two, one. I'm John Miglosh with the WDMA and the Wisconsin Direct Marketing Association. As you can see, I'm a little flustered today, and that's probably good because we're going to talk today about the ultimate guide to emotional marketing. And I'm emotional right now. Why am I emotional? Because not everything's working. This particular article from HubSpot, which came out this week, was very, very exciting, and so I decided, and it has a lot of content that's videos. So embedded in here are some videos, and I really liked one of them as far as emotional marketing. It's way at the end, and here it is. We'll play that. We'll start with that. And so what I did, here we go. Oh.
Sadly, he isn't me. But if he stopped using lady-scented body wash and switched to Old Spice, he could smell like he's me. Look down. Back up. Where are you? You're on a boat with the man your man could smell like. What's in your hand? Back at me. I have it. It's an oyster with 2 tickets to that thing you love. Look again. The tickets are now diamond. Anything is possible when your man smells like Old Spice and not a lady. I'm on a horse.
Okay, well, I'd hate to compete with that guy, but I can. I can ride a horse and take my wife on cruises. The diamonds part would be hard for me. Anyway, the point is, I hope you got a chuckle out of that. But I was trying to make this article work so you could watch the videos and you could see all the great content because it is a really good article. And then I thought, well, I can highlight stuff, and that would be super great. And I did it, and I highlighted it 3 times now. And then it said, if you join, you can save your highlights. So I joined, and it erased my highlights. It's like this every day here at the studio. I use a new tool. This forced me over to Chrome, which I don't want to be because it does funny things to what I'm trying to do. Anyway, good morning, America, and I hope you're out there. I'm enjoying myself as usual. Okay, so let's talk about emotional marketing. Emotional marketing refers to marketing that gets you going. Remember, it gets your audience to remember. It gets you to elicit a consumer response. Does that sound vaguely familiar to anybody out there? Of course it does. Because the lame Direct Marketing Association definition of direct marketing, which I fought for 30 years, says the main point of direct marketing is to evoke a measurable response, to generate a measurable response. I think the word is generate. Why is that lame? Well, it's not lame. It's good. It's a beginning point. It's a great starting point. And this article gives you a lot to think about. I highly recommend this article. I do. Because it, first of all, says, okay, emotion is a spectrum. Here's the spectrum. You can't see my cursor today. No idea why. Probably because it's this highlighter. Anyway, serenity versus, I can hardly read this right here. I like this. Remorse, disapproval, awe. So I don't know that this makes a bit of sense. Except that it's complex, like a flower. Emotions are complex, okay? That part I get, right? I'm married, for heaven's sakes. Of course I get that part. Okay. And your emotions and what you do in your TV commercial or your direct mail piece or your digital marketing may not get the emotion that you expect. And that's the tricky part. That's the really tricky part. I remember in the last election, and I was thinking they were running this commercial over and over and over and over with little kids on it and sort of foul language from the other candidate. And I'm thinking to myself, if you really cared about kids, you wouldn't be playing this commercial all day long. I don't know. And it turned out it didn't work so well for that candidate that played that commercial. Maybe they should have tested more. And that's where I'm going with this. The emotional response is a piece. But the danger here, and this is the hubris of marketing articles, the danger is that we sit down with this article and we say, oh, now I get it. I should have taken a psychology degree, but I got a philosophy degree anyway, so that's almost as good, if not better. Okay, people feel that part. At least we can almost all identify with that. Now, Scott Adams says only about 70% of people get jokes. And there's a lot of tweets going around all the time about what so-and-so said versus what so-and-so said. And can you believe that so-and-so said it? And that's because, and a lot of times they'll say, well, that was a joke. Or I was high. Those are the two favorite. Or I got hacked. Those are the three responses. Someday I'd like to see somebody say, yeah, so what? Anyway. But I'm not the right guy to measure emotions. My wife says I have almost no emotions. She says I repress them, but I say, huh. Okay, so moving along. Emotion helps people decide with their hearts. You know, we used to malign the heart. The scientists would say, oh, the heart is just a bloody pumper. You know, it's all through literature about your heart. Well, it turns out that your heart has an electromagnetic field that's greater than your brain, that permeates your body. Your intestines, because there's biblical allusion to his bowels were moved within him. Your intestine has more neurons than a cat brain. You're learning so much from this. So targeting someone's emotions means targeting their gut. Okay? Get it out of your brain. There is a heart mechanism that runs your decisions. Believe me. Okay? So emotion gets you moving. We always said when I was learning direct marketing, if it's head versus heart, heart wins. Remember those Michelin tires commercials with the baby in them? You got a lot riding on your tires? Oh my gosh. Why do I have such lousy tires? Well, because I'm sending my kids to private school. Let them walk like I did. I walked to the prep school or rode my bike. Okay, so here's some emotions that when we're happy, we tend to mirror that emotion, which leads us to share content. Okay, that's a good one. Sadness. Feelings of sadness inspire us to act to help people. Empathy helps in financial giving. Of course it does. We see pictures of the kids that don't have shoes. Tom's shoes does that all the time. Fear. Some people are afraid of fear. Isn't that ironic? And, it works really well in a lot of marketing. We used to call it backing the hearse up to the door. That's an old, when you're selling life insurance, like door to door. It's like, what would happen if? There's the old Allstate commercial where the husband's got his hand on the fireplace and they're taking the clock off, and he has to sell his house because his wife passed away. And not only did she pass away, but she stopped getting her paycheck, imagine. And so he has to sell the house and downsize. Okay, well, that is backing the hearse up to the door. What happens when? Okay, there's a lot of that in marketing. It's safe. People say fear. It says when your brand, when studies show, I was like that. That makes this eminently credible. That it might make sense to buy this when things turn for the worse. Anger, producing content that purposely elicits anger and anxiety leads to increased views. Okay, so now, even though my alarm's going off, I started late. What's the key to all of this? The key is testing. None of this makes any sense to just launch on the Super Bowl ad. Even when you're launching a Super Bowl ad, you should be testing it. Testing the audience reaction. Testing in the focus groups. But especially in the direct marketing world, we put it out to the audience with choices. And we try to measure especially the buying behavior. That's one of the benefits of A-B split. We can find out what buying behavior it elicits. Then, if you're really high level thinking, then you start thinking about what kind of buyer are we generating? Is it the kind of buyer that's going to stick with us forever? Because fear, once the fear is gone, that's why you have to keep paying your life insurance payment. Because you're not afraid now, but you still have to pay. Okay? You need something that has continuity with it when you're using fear to drive it. So I hope that helps you think, and mostly I hope it helps you feel. I'm John Miglosh. Share the content.